Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now, we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $8.6 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network, President Joe Biden gives his first major speech since leaving office defending Social Security. It will go live to Chicago. Democratic lawmakers, they continue to fight MAGA regarding the dismantling of Social Security. Black farmers have always been excluded from federal funding grants, well, not always, but pretty much ignored. Now that MAGA is running the government, black farmers are struggling even more since the USDA cut DEI programs. We'll talk with the president of the National Black Farmers Association. Also, the CEO for the Center for Rural Enterprise and Environmental Justice joins us to talk about the DOJ terminating the agreement to fix a decades-old water and sewage crisis in Alabama's Black Belt. Also, 3 black men were detained for stealing a car, but they rented the car. It's a wild story you don't want to miss. Plus, LPGA great Renee Powell talks about the Clearview Legacy Foundation. Plus, today is the ultimate DEI day. It's Jackie Robinson Day, when the white races finally allowed a black player in baseball, or white baseball. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time, and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Aggressively standing up for Social Security as MAGA seeks to cut billions of dollars from Social Security. President Joe Biden, in his first major public address since leaving office, is speaking live in Chicago as it relates to this issue. Let's go live there.
Hardly any black people in Scranton at the time, I was only going in 4th grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by. They never turned right to go to Claymont High School. I wondered why. Asked my mom, why? So in Delaware, they're not allowed to go to school, in public school, with white kids, honey. That sparked my sense of outrage as a kid, just like it does, and these young kids right here can tell you things affect them when they learn about something that's really just unfair and unjust. You know, my dad was an honorable man. And my dad used to have an expression. He said, Joey, your job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it. Well, that's what you're all about. That's what the legislation's about. It's about dignity. Simple dignity. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, regardless of their standing, regardless of their economic situation, regardless of who they are. Making sure that more than 60 million Americans who are living with disabilities are treated with dignity is who we are as Americans. That's what it's about. I mean it. Dignity at work, at school, in their communities. In every corner of American life, laws like the ADA need advocates like you. You're the ones that keep it going, God love you. You fight like hell every single day to make sure the law is respected and your clients' rights are protected. So from the bottom of my heart, I mean this. I give you my word as a Biden. From the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for your commitment to the dignity of all Americans. Because that's what ultimately this is about. Folks, today I want to talk to you about an issue that's front and center right now for millions of Americans. Social Security. You know, some of you may know the Democrats have declared today the Save Social Security National Action Day. National Day of Action, I should say. We know just how much Social Security matters to people's lives. Everyone in this room fights for people with disabilities who rely on Social Security to survive. To survive. Not just the physical side, it's the mental side. It's the mental side. You make sure folks get the benefits they earn after a lifetime of hard work. The work they do is more than just a profession, what you do. It's a calling. It's not just a profession. And Social Security is more than a government program. It's a sacred promise. We made it today, a sacred promise. 73 million Americans receive Social Security. From their first paycheck through their entire life, they pay into Social Security. And in return, they count on Social Security to be for them when they're going to need it. Folks must never, ever betray that trust or turn our backs on that obligation. That's why during my presidency, we protected Social Security and made it stronger. Martin, the governor, can tell you. We came into office, Social Security Administration had its lowest staffing, she referenced it, lowest staffing levels in 50 years. And demand was going through the roof because of my generation and the baby boom generation reaching the retirement age. So the demands on Social Security increased significantly. Our administration secured nearly $2 billion to reduce the backlogs and improve customer service. We slashed wait times for folks in need who are calling the 1-800 number. We got it down to under 13 minutes. It used to be 3 times that long when we took office. We made it easier for people to get help with their claims online. We reduced how long it takes to review a case. We fixed the appeal system to make it uniform in all 50 states, which made a difference. And we strengthened the anti-fraud measures to protect people's identities and to make sure benefits are going to people who actually they belong to. By the way, those 300-year-old people getting that Social Security, I want to meet them because I like to figure out how they live that. Hell of a thing, man. I'm looking for longevity because it's hell when you turn 40 years old. But as a result, by the time we left office, we had improved every single line of customer service, from applying for disability to filing an appeal to reporting fraud. It all became more efficient and more effective. And I'll bet it made your jobs easier, too, in the process. Now, these achievements may not sound so glamorous to most people, but you know, they're absolutely essential. And in my view, one of the most important jobs of any elected official is to make sure the government works for the people, works for all people. It's understandable. They can understand what it is. And then we keep our promises to the people, to all the people. That's exactly what we did, thanks to all of you. I also signed into law the Social Security Fairness Act. That act eliminated 2 unfair rules so public employees wouldn't get shortchanged. The government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision can never come in ever again. But as a result, more than 2 million people are now finally receiving the full benefits they earned. And remember, we also faced a constant threat by some members, Republican members of the Congress, to cut and gut Social Security, period. Cut and gut it, period. They wanted to let Social Security expire every 5 years. That was the proposal. Let it expire every 5 years unless reauthorized by the Congress. Who in the hell do they think they are? Every 5 years and then wait around and be... no. I will not go further or get in trouble, but look, folks. Can you imagine the chaos it would have charged? Every 5 years, Congress is going to step up. You imagine this Congress stepping up? They threatened to raise the retirement age as well. Now, that might not be a hardship for someone working in a comfortable job. But if you're on your feet all day, you're doing manual labor all day, You're working with a disability. It's a very different matter. And then they even tried to face cuts, force cuts on Social Security during the negotiation of the debt ceiling. These are wonderful guys. Last time this guy had the job, he raised the debt ceiling because of an enormous and profligate tax cut to the super wealthy. And then he said, look, then they started talking to his colleagues. Well, maybe we can do something about Social Security, but we got to do something about the debt ceiling. How are we going to do? We can find the money in Social Security. Unless we do what they wanted. They wanted to cut Social Security. Not on my watch. We refused to go along with any of that. Look, Americans have always been able to count on these benefits. And let me pause a second here and say this. We talk about the physical needs that Social Security provides for people, particularly people, hardworking people, people retired, people on the edge. But the psychological impact is profound. Profound. You're a man or a woman, you're 70s, 80 years old, you're not in good shape, you have a disability, and you hear the check may not come. How do you sleep at night? How do you sleep at night? We lived up in Wilmington in a 3-bedroom split-level home in a new development, 40 homes, with 4 kids and a grandpa living with us. And I remember our headboard was near my dad's and mom's room. And you could tell when Dad was restless. I remember asking one night my mom, what's the matter with Dad? The next morning, she says, found out that we're not going to provide insurance anymore where he works. Well, imagine if you're somebody who's been struggling your whole life. You're literally counting on Social Security to buy your food, just to get by. And you hear the threats, what may happen. Many of these beneficiaries, that's their only income. If they were cut or taken away, it'd be devastating, devastating for millions of people. And the psychological pressure we put people under by having this debate is absolutely devastating. That's why we work so damn hard to make Social Security Administration stronger than it's been in years. And that's why I asked the governor to take over, by the way. But look what's happened now. Fewer than 100 days, this new administration has made done so much damage and so much destruction. It's kind of breathtaking it could happen that soon. They've taken a hatchet to the Social Security Administration, pushing an additional 7,000 employees, 7,000 out the door in that time, including the most seasoned career officials. Now they're getting ready to push thousands more out the door. Already we can see the effects. For example, thousands of people use the Social Security website every single day to check on their benefits and submit their claims. But now, the technology division of Social Security Administration has been cut in half. And so the website's crashing. People can't sign on to their accounts. What do you think it does to that woman's living alone at 74 years checking, just not able to even find out whether she can't even find out what that disability claim is she has. She can't file a new disability claim. And a lot of these people are being told incorrectly that their benefits have ended. Folks, imagine the panic that causes if you're a retiree living alone with only Social Security to depend upon. So now people are overwhelming the phone lines. They're showing up at the local Social Security office, tearful and frantic, and told, do you have an appointment? In that tone, by the way. I can give you a personal example if I'm not going to, though. To cap it all off, serious people are now generally concerned for the first time in history, for the first and only time in history, that Social Security benefits may be delayed or interrupted. Folks, let's put this in perspective. In the 90 years since Franklin Roosevelt created the Social Security system, people have always gotten their Social Security checks. They've gotten them during wartime, during recessions, during a pandemic. No matter what, they got them. But now, for the first time ever, that might change. It would be a calamity for millions of families, millions of people. The current Secretary of Commerce doesn't seem to get it. Or based on his comments, he doesn't seem to even care. Many of you saw what he said the other day. And by the way, he's a billionaire. God love him, as my mother would say. Paying 8.5% in taxes. Anyway. Billionaires, I don't know what he's paying. But when he talked about the possibility of the Social Security checks not going out this month, he shrugged it off. Here's what he said. He said his 94-year-old mother-in-law wouldn't complain, wouldn't bother her. She's probably a lovely woman. No kidding. Her son-in-law is a billionaire. What about that 94-year-old mother living all by herself? Doesn't have a billionaire in the family. Or all the retirees who depend on that monthly check to feed themselves. All those people with disabilities have no other source. What about all those people? That's who you fight for. So they should desperately need you. And folks, it's not just the Secretary of Commerce. We heard how others, empowered and emboldened by this administration, talk about Social Security. One of them called it a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme? What the hell are they talking about? People earn these benefits. They paid into that benefit. They rely on that benefit. And no one should take it away. You know, Franklin Roosevelt had a different view. He was president coming out of the Great Depression. He and all his colleagues saw great suffering, so much poverty. He also took steps to raise standard of living for ordinary Americans, including creating Social Security. He himself was from a very wealthy family. He didn't need Social Security, but understood how much it would mean to millions of Americans. He knew it would make America stronger in the process, and it has. It makes our economy stronger. It makes the community stronger. It makes families stronger. It gives peace of mind. That's why the vast majority of Americans, including many wealthy Americans, still support, thank God, Social Security. And very wealthy billionaires still support Social Security. They may not rely on themselves, but they know Social Security deserves to be protected for the good of the nation as a whole. You got to ask yourself, why is this happening? Why are these guys taking aim at Social Security now? Well, they're following that old line from tech startups. The quote is, move fast, break things. Well, they're certainly breaking things. They're shooting first and aiming later. And as a result, the result is a lot of needless pain and sleepless nights. My friend Governor O'Malley knows what they're really up to. He says, and I love his quote, they want to wreck it so they can rob it. They want to wreck it so they can rob it. And why do they want to rob it? In order to deliver huge tax cuts to billionaires and big corporations and keep it going. They want to make permanent the 2017 tax cuts, which overwhelmingly benefited the wealthiest Americans and the biggest corporations. That's going to cost $5 trillion. Where are they going to get $5 trillion to pay for it, other than continue to run the deficit up? Well, what do they always do? By running up the national debt, number one, and then by taking the money from someplace else. What are the two big pots of money out there in raw numbers? Social Security and Medicaid. Well, from other programs that people rely on and have paid into. Republicans, or these guys, are willing to hurt the middle class and the working class in order to deliver significant greater wealth to the already very wealthy. Who in the hell do they think they are? I really think, I mean, just basic decency. Who do they think they are? I think anybody should go out. If they can make $1 billion a year, they can, fine. Pay your fair share. You know what the average, we have 1,000 billionaires in America. You know the average federal tax they pay? 8.2%. Anybody want to trade that number? What you're paying? Folks, look. Let me close. I'm sorry to go on so long, but it's just, anyway. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania as a kid, and then Claymont, Delaware. Middle-class towns, working-class towns. Places where people worked hard all their lives with the promise that they'd be able to retire someday with a little bit of dignity. Because they've been paying in a thing called Social Security since the very paycheck they ever earned. These people get knocked down every day, learn to get up. My dad's one experience, you get knocked down, just get up. Get up. They get up every day. The last thing they need from their government is deliberate cruelty. It's about people and neighbors across the country who look out for each other. You don't see empathy. They don't see it as a sign of weakness. They see empathy as a decent instinct. They don't see cruelty as a sign of strength. Social Security is about more than retirement accounts. It's about honoring a fundamental trust between government and people. It's about peace of mind for those who work their whole lives so they can rest assured they'll have a chance. They'll get back some of what they earned and what they deserve. But more than anything else, I mean this sincerely. And as my friend says, maybe it's the Irish of it in me, but it's about who we are as Americans. Who are we? What makes us distinct from the rest of the world? It comes down to basic, in my view, fundamental American values. Nobody's king. Nobody's the boss. Everybody has a shot. All people are asking for is a shot. Honesty, decency, where hard work is rewarded. Have some faith in each other. Fairness, simple fairness. We can't go on like this as a divided nation, as divided as we are. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time. It's never been this divided. Granted, it's roughly 30%, but it's a 30% that has no heart. What we see in America, that's what we believe in, fairness. And that's the America we can never forget or walk away from. Folks, I mean this. I know it sounds trite, but I have to remember who we are. We're the United States of America. The United States of America. The most unique country in the history of the world, and that's not hyperbole. Every other nation was founded because of religion, geography, ethnicity. We're the only nation in the world found on an ocean. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, endowed by their Creator. That's the one thing united us, an idea. Every other nation was because of a purpose. It's an idea. And how can we fulfill the outcome, the meaning of that idea? We walk away from just basic fundamental decency. Folks, sorry to go on so long, but I feel deeply about this. You know, you've heard me say it before and I'll say it again. There's nothing beyond the capacity of America to do when we do it together. Let's do it together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you for what you do, and thank you for this wonderful award. Thank you.
That was President Joe Biden speaking live in Chicago. This issue is, again, all across the country. Democrats are making it clear that they have to speak loudly against it. You see a number of members of Congress posting videos on social media talking about Republicans, their attacks on Social Security. Here is Democratic House Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
All across America, House Democrats and Senate Democrats are holding a Save Social Security Day of Action. Why? Social Security here in New York City and across the country faces an unprecedented assault, the likes of which have not been seen since 2005, when former President George W. Bush tried to privatize it. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and House Republicans think that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. Social Security is not a Ponzi scheme. It is an earned benefit. Hard-working New Yorkers pay into Social Security and have done so throughout their entire working life. They've earned their Social Security benefits, worked hard for their Social Security benefits, and deserve their Social Security benefits. It is unacceptable, unconscionable, and un-American that Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and House Republicans are dismantling and closing Social Security offices, jacking up wait times, and preventing hardworking Americans from securing their benefits.
By panel, Joe Richardson, civil rights attorney out of Los Angeles, Dr. Larry J. Walker, assistant professor, who joins us out of Orlando, Florida, Dr. Mustafa Santiago, first of all, he's with the University of Central Florida, Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for environmental justice at the EBA out of D.C. as well. Larry, I want to start with you. The thing here is, look, this is going to have devastating impact on lots of people. I saw Chris Sununu, former New Hampshire governor, go, "Oh, hey, what the heck? Retirement age. We should raise it to 67, raise it to 70 as well." And he says, people shouldn't be retiring at 62. Says the guy who gets an annual pension when he turns 55 because he was governor.
Yeah. So the idea here is, I want to be able to thrive. We talked about Sununu, while other people, family members, aunts, uncles, grandparents, etc., struggle. Roland, this essentially what's happening here is dismantling the social safety net in America, which will lead eventually to some depression and probably, a recession and a depression. The other point is about Social Security is people watching this understand those individuals that are retired have already paid into the system. So it's like someone giving you, you get a check for your job, and then someone coming back, we're going to have to take that check back. That's essentially what's happening here. These people who are retired have already paid into the system. And for 90 years, Roland, this year, Social Security has been an integral part in terms of making sure individuals, hardworking Americans, like I said, who have paid into the system, who have retired, who deserve to live, peacefully, don't have a rug pulled from under them. This will have a devastating impact. And I know particularly we talk about the Black community in terms of, a lot of communities are under-resourced and a lot of folks have worked all their lives and depend on Social Security to survive. But a lot of these Republicans and these white, represent these white districts, the members of their community are going to see some serious heartache. And they voted for this just a couple of months ago. So, and the Republicans have made it very clear, they've got to cut like at least $1.5 trillion from the budget. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, all these programs that play a vital role in making sure Americans can eat, can live their lives. Once again, if you dismantle or remove these programs, we will see tremendous stress on the U.S. economy, and people will struggle.
And I say to a lot of these white folks who voted for Trump, y'all about to learn real quick what happens when they want to whack Social Security to give rich folks tax breaks. Joe?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Social Security is the social safety net, right? That is having to do fundamentally with this country fulfilling its commitments. You pay into the system during your working life, then you get money from that system, which you put in. It is actually an earned benefit, right? It's not something that you didn't earn. It's not something that you didn't do something tangible or tangibly in order to receive. And so therefore, we are now in a situation where that is being threatened. You cannot cut $1.5 trillion from any budget, let alone this budget, without dealing with Social Security. Now, in the real world, 80% of our economy is based, the strength of our economy, the nuts and bolts of our economy is based on consumption. So if people that get Social Security, people get any check, disability, whatever it may be, fill in the blank. They don't get it at the same level. They don't get to buy the things that they need. Then that grinds your economy to a halt. So even those that are at the top, they're not thinking of it that way. But Social Security, a damage to Social Security is going to wreck all boats, just like they argue that doing something at the top floats all boats, which it doesn't. For sure, even though, in the short term, they'll feel a little bit better because they've cut taxes. At the end of the day, this is going to grind a whole lot of things to a halt. And I imagine that even those that were too clueless and too disillusioned, or delusional is my word, to see what was going on and voted for Trump anyway, would then at that point come to a point of inflection and revelation.
Mustafa.
73 million Americans right now are counting on basic decency. 73 million Americans are also counting on America's promise to the working class, those people who've got up every day and done what they needed to do. And now America, once again, is breaking the promise. Now, people often don't realize when we're talking about Social Security, we're talking about the average benefit of about $1,980 a month. That breaks down to a little less than $500 a week. So I would just ask the folks who are watching, could you survive on $500 a week? Knowing how inflation has happened, we've seen the prices of food, we've seen all these things that continue to go up, and then these individuals have, the gall to actually try and take away these basic ability for folks to hit their basic needs. The last thing that I'll say, Roland, is most folks may remember when Donald Trump was running, when he's on the campaign trail, he pledged to protect Social Security benefits. He said, and I quote, that he would never do anything that would jeopardize or hurt Social Security or Medicare. No cuts or increases in the age of those who receive the benefits. So once again, folks got bamboozled. So the question becomes what you're going to do about it. Are you going to actually pick up the phone? Are you going to actually get out and use nonviolent ways of addressing what's going on in this space? Are you going to hold your elected officials accountable? And are you, when next time you have the ability to vote, are you going to make sure that you put people in office who will actually make sure that your grandmother and maybe somebody who's dealing with a disability has the ability to actually be able to live in a decent way, to be able to live in a humane way? So the question is, what are you going to do with your power?
Well, we all know he's a liar. I mean, he lies about lies. So anybody who believes that, they're stupid. They're stupid as all get out. And the people who are also stupid are the people who agree with this dumbass's tariffs. Let me give y'all a sense of this here. Okay, when the idiot was there 4 years ago, more than $25 billion in taxpayer money was provided to largely white farmers because of his tariffs. I remember there were farmers who announced that they were losing their farms, filing bankruptcy. And I'll never forget, one of these white boys said, oh, I would vote for him again and it's worth losing. And I'm sitting there going, time out. Yo dumbass defending that the man lost the family farm because of Trump's idiotic tariffs that did nothing, that accomplished nothing. And more than 25 billion of that were given to farmers. But let me be real clear, white farmers. So what are we now seeing? On today, which is the ultimate DEI day, diversity, equity, inclusion, when the white racists finally allowed Jackie Robinson, because it wasn't about merit, to come and play in Major League Baseball. And we'll cover that later. But we're seeing the attacks on DEI in every federal government. And guess what that includes? Agriculture, USDA, is having a devastating impact on black farmers. So black farmers already got screwed and have been getting screwed for decades. Now when you had a glimmer of hope, Trump is like, shut the door. And guess who's quiet? All of these black MAGA people. You hear nothing from Senator Tim Scott. It's black farmers in South Carolina. You don't hear jack from Congressman Byron Donalds. Nothing from Utah Congressman Burgess Owens. You don't hear jack from Texas Republican Congressman Wesley Hunt. Black farmers down in Texas. There's some black farmers in Florida. Nope. No, we know ain't no black farmers in Utah. So you don't hear nothing. Not a peep. And how about all these other little MAGA minions? What's that little girl down in Atlanta, Michaela, whatever the hell her name is? Ain't heard nothing. Ain't heard nothing. What about that little other fool, Harris? They love, what about all them fools? All them fools who were sitting here at the White House, Black History Month reception, smiling and cheesing and profiling and posting their videos and all on social media. Oh yeah, they were all doing that. And guess what? Silent. How about Sharice Lane? Here's a black woman who's a Florida A&M graduate. Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. She one of them folk. When they cut $16 million from Florida A&M's pharmacy school. Ain't heard a peep. I told y'all. We saw what happened down there when Trump declared it was illegal DNA. It was illegal DNA. DEI, illegal DEI. So they canceled the deal in Alabama. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. What have I constantly said? These people do not like black people. And these same black conservatives, these black MAGA people, none of them are standing up for black people. None of them. John Boyd is the president of the National Black Farmers Association. John, we made it clear
Yes.
Trump didn't give a damn about black farmers last time,
No,
and he don't give a damn about black farmers now.
That's correct. And Roland, you laid it all out there loud and clear. One thing that I want to highlight before we get into this tariff thing is the president put an executive order out there allowing white South African farmers to provide them with a fast pathway to citizenship in the United States, and they're going to give them land out of federal inventory from the United States Department of Agriculture and grazing land from the Department of Interior and provide them a homestead. Things they never did in this country for black people, and I've been trying to get our land, Roland. You've been covering this thing, man, for 15 years, man. We've been talking about this land and inventory. They want to give it to South African white farmers that Trump says face discrimination in South Africa. But all these 40 years I've been trying to get it right here in the United States. It's always a reason why we can't get our land out of federal inventory. That should be on blast on everybody's social media line, because land, Roland, is everything, is absolutely everything. And that's why I've been after it for all of these years. And this president came in and closed up civil rights on the first day at the United States Department of Agriculture. It took an act of Congress for me to get the Civil Rights Office reopened under the Reagan administration. An act of Congress had to reopen it and fund it with money with the support of President Bill Clinton. We had to do all of this through Congress. And this president comes in one day and wipes away 40 years of work at the United States Department of Agriculture. It's crazy, and he's circumventing Congress. This man's acting like a dictator, in my standpoint. He's going around the courts. He's not abiding by the court decisions that's out here. It's rampant, and we have to rise up and speak out against it. And, Roland, thank God for this platform, man. And I roll through my social media just about every night, and I see you on the front lines with the consistent message of fighting back, man, and pushing back, and we have to do more of it.
I mean, what are you hearing from these black MAGA people? Are they responding to emails, phone calls? Where they at?
I'm glad you raised that. And we're a national organization. We got 51,000 members who've been around since the 80s. And we have some of those people. Roland, you hear from some of these crazy people. And they want to argue you about Trump. And now the debate is bare minimum now. But I had a lot of pushback when I came out nationally for VP Harris, from people and the organization itself that didn't want us to do that. Some of these very same type of individuals that you are describing here. We got to do better at understanding. Yes, I agree we didn't get everything that we needed from the Democratic Party, but anybody who's confused about the difference between the Democratic Party, Joe Biden, and this president in office right now, something's wrong with you. And here's the other thing that is very alarming. They changed our name, Roland. DEI, minority farmers, socially disadvantaged farmers, farmers of color. They were spitting on me at USDA because I was black. They wouldn't allow me to see the loan officer but one day of a week because I was black. I was coming in the back door, yes, in the 80s and 90s because I was black. They got to stop changing our definition. We're black people, and we face a special set of issues in this country that no other people face with pure hatred. And this president hates black people, if anybody's confused out here.
See, here's the mistake that people make. They go, oh, but no, he's got a black HUD secretary, and he had Ben Carson last time, and he's got. Here's the whole deal. Look at his White House.
Yes.
Are there any black top aides? No.
No. Advisors? No.
None. So all these little black MAGA minions taking photos, posting stuff, all of them, all these little folk, and I'm gonna name them, them silly ass brother, the Cartier family, all these folks, the Hodge twins, all these folks got lots to say on social media, but they are saying nothing about the impact on black people.
Yes. And you know what? This is going to be devastating on black farmers because, Roland, and that's the tariff piece. A lot of our people don't understand the commodities that I've been raising for 42 years. Corn, wheat, and soybeans are controlled by the market. Every time the president says the word tariff, the price plummets. The other countries don't want to trade with us. China is now buying soybeans from Brazil, and now they just said they're pulling out $2.5 billion of beef. I raise beef too. All these things are going to affect us. But when the money's rolled out, and you laid it out in your commentary, they said, oh, we're going to roll this money out through the Department of Agriculture. The same Department of Agriculture that was calling me a nigger, the same Department of Agriculture that was tearing my application up, throwing it in the trash can, is going to be the same Department of Agriculture that makes sure black farmers get money. It's not going to happen. And that's why I support, we got to, get the prices up. We got to get rid of this president. I mean, I hate to start talking about that. We got to put a candidate out there. They got the galls and balls enough to stand up to him and also say, I'm going to come into office the first day and do away with every one of those executive orders that he put out there. We're going to do away with it. We need a person like that who's standing up and fighting right now and saying and talking and saying those things right now. That's the first thing we got to do. And then black people, we got to voice up and come together. If we can't come together under Donald Trump, we're never going to come together in this country based on this way this man has treated black people. Every week he's saying something directly, do away with Black History Month, do away with anything that has anything to do with color and blackness in this country. He came in, and his architect, Roland, we don't want to leave his name out. His name is Stephen Miller. And we had a conversation on your show years ago when he started suing me in federal court, blocking the $5 billion to black farmers. The person who orchestrated the language and who's crafting the language for this president and these executive orders, his name is Stephen Miller. And some sort of way he needs to be dealt with as well.
Again, I just want folk to know, these are the people who run around. These are the people who run around. Black folks need to be supporting Trump. They sitting here touting all the wonderful, great stuff he's doing. But again, on things that are specific, they are silent. They are saying nothing.
Yes, and you're exactly right. And you could look at the brother from South Carolina, we ain't heard a word from him.
Nope.
And we got thousands of black farmers in his state, that need help and assistance. Right now, black farmers don't have farm operating loans in place, and it's planting season. And we need for our people to come together and help support these brothers. We should have our corn planters in the field right now rolling. They have they're closing up local offices, and they have done away with anything that had to do with color at USDA and NRCS, Farm Service Agency, Rural Development. The agencies that's supposed to be extending credit out here, they went away and done away with civil rights directors in those agencies. Anybody that was doing anything around color, they're already gone. So I want to be very, very clear. Those positions have been terminated, and they fired them, and they fired these people. That's what this president is doing to black people in this country, and we're too silent about it, in my opinion.
Questions from the panel. Mustafa, you first.
Yeah. Well, John, it's good to see you again. I remember the time we
Hey, brother, how you doing? Thank you for what you do.
Yes, sir. I'm blessed. I remember our signing at EPA years ago.
Yes.
We got 48 million black folks in our country. And if you had the ability, and this is one of the platforms, to be able to speak to them, what would you ask them to do in this moment to address the issues that are happening to our black farmers across the country?
Go out and support us, blackfarmers.org. That's the first thing you got to do. You don't have to be a farmer to support this cause. I want to be very, very clear here. That's the biggest thing you can do to come out and support black farmers right now. Make your contribution is the second thing that you can do. And stay in contact and spread the information. This particular segment needs to be on everybody's timeline tonight. Share this show right now on all of your social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever suits your fancy. Post this segment out there tonight so people can get the facts about what's going on in America.
Larry?
Yeah, thank you for your time and everything you do for black farmers. It's critically important. Can you talk a little bit about, there's a long history of black farming in the United States. A lot of folks don't know about, our history in agriculture. Can you talk about what the future could look like? You talked about some of the challenges, particularly the tariffs. Could you, and I know it's having a major impact on farmers in general. And we talked about the challenges that black farmers encounter. What could the future of black farming look like with tariffs, particularly with the tariffs, in this, fight with China, et cetera? What could black farming look like over the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, it's going to be the loss of farms for us. That's the first thing. That these tariffs are going to put us out of business with no oversight and no regulation from the courts or from the United States Department of Agriculture. And I'm telling our people, and to back up just a little bit, panel, buy some land. Buy some land. Guess what? White farmers are going to be losing some of these farms too. It won't be just black farmers. Some of these mid-scale farmers are going to be losing their farm. Buy some land. If you can afford a ragged-ass Cadillac and Mercedes-Benz, you can afford 5 acres in the country. Yes, I said it. Yes, stop buying them cars, stop buying them designer clothes, and buy 5 acres in the country. That's the first thing we can do as black people. Don't leave that money in the bank right now. Buy some land when it's going to become available. And you heard it from me first. There's going to be a lot of land for sale in America, and we can't let Bill Gates and China and the rest of the people buy it. That's the first thing. We have a rich history of farming. I bet everybody on that panel came from somebody's farm and somebody from one of these southern states here in the country, and we have a farmer in our family. Tell the rich story of history of what our forefathers did. We own 20 million acres of land at the turn of the century. We're down to 3 million acres of land. Roughly hovering around 50,000 black farmers, full-time farmers that make a living. I'm proud to be one of those black farmers that farm full-time, and a host of other part-time farmers, and we raise everything. We own, and guess what, people? We're the best. I said it on your show, Roland. We're the best farmers ever in this country because we survive with no loans. We survive with discrimination. We survive with ag companies not supporting us, and we're still here by the grace of God. And guess what? We're going to survive that. You want to know why? We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. We survived sharecropping. All the things that they thought would put us out and put us down, we're still here. We're still here by the grace of God.
Larry, I'm sorry, Joe.
Thank you so much, sir, for what you're doing to build on what it was that you were saying. My grandmother, Lucy Perdue, was born in Sparta, Georgia, grew up in Macon, Georgia. On my mother's side of the family, everybody's from Mississippi and Alabama through Salina, Tennessee. Give us, city folk, a one-on-one, a 101 on why farming is important. It's gotten, a little trendy for us to sit and talk in church about, oh yeah, we should use this land and you should grow some things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But give those of us that don't know and haven't really gotten it a quick one-on-one about the importance of farming to what we eat every day already.
Thank you for that. And my grandfather's name was Thomas Boyd. He said land was everything. Everything good and great came from the land. Clean drinking water, fresh food to feed your family, timber to build a house on. We've gotten away from that, and the farm is where we built our families. Yes, we spent time together. We were raised together. Many black families. My daddy came from the last of 15 kids, and a lot of black families. My mother had 10 siblings. We've gotten away from the family structure of the farm and also the ability to feed ourselves. if you look at our forefathers, they lived longer than we do now. It's because they was eating healthy foods from their farms that wasn't tainted with chemicals. They were eating meats and all these great fresh things, and they lived longer because of the lifestyle. We've gotten away from the lifestyle, and to answer that question more directly, we take for granted that we have food for abundance in this country. That's what we're taking for granted. So when you look at our farmers and why it's important, we're going to sit down, we're going to eat dinner tonight. Some of us going to eat too much like I do. And we take for granted that that food was grown from someone's farm in this country. So we need to go back and redevelop our connection with food, healthy foods, and the family structure that came from our forefathers. They taught us at home how to live and how to survive on these farms. And we've gotten away from that. And I want to tell the young people that's the way to survival. Land ownership is the way to freedom. If you want to be free in this country, you need to own some land so that they can't take that from you.
All right. All right, then. With John Lick, keep up the fight.
Roland, hey, man, we love you.
I appreciate it.
We love you. We support you, and we appreciate the fight that you put out here every single day, man. Thank God for you.
I appreciate it, and I have not forgotten your offer to come down to the farm to ride horseback.
Come down here, man. I saw you out there with that cowboy hat on, Roland.
Come on now.
I want you on my farm wearing that cowboy hat.
Oh, that ain't a problem. I got a few I can rock. Now how far are you from DC?
About 3 hours from DC, Roland. Straight down 95 to 80.
Okay. All right, then. We're going to make that happen. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, brother.
All right, folks. Got to go to a break. We come back. Lots more to talk about, including today being the ultimate DEI day. Today is a day called Jackie Robinson Day. And this is a day when the white folk allow one black man, merit, to play in their game. I got a lot to say about that, especially in this space where all we have nothing but attacks against DEI. I got lots to talk about. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Of course, if you want to contribute to us via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. It's right here. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com to check it out. Also, folks, you want to send a check, please make the check out or the money order out to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Not Roland Martin, not Uncle Roro, not Black Star Network, not Unfiltered. Make it out to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send that check to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
Week on the other side of change.
We're going to examine how foreign policy impacts domestic policy and how domestic policy impacts foreign policy. We are all intertwined, and we're going to have Hannah Reid help us break down that topic.
We should not want our country to be the big bad wolf of the globe, because that puts us in a really vulnerable position safety-wise as well.
Only on the other side of change on the Black Star Network.
This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network, we are talking about all things, you got it, stress related. Yes, the big S, whether it's spiritual, physical, emotional, or sometimes it could be just in your head. Stress has a way of manifesting itself in our lives in such a way that it disrupts who we are and who we're in the process of becoming.
Stress is just as bad as a lot of the physical ailments that we think of.
That's all next on A Balanced Life on the Black Star Network.
You want me to do something crazy, but I don't know what to do. I'd rather just sit here.
I'm Chrisette Michelle, and you're watching
Roland Martin, Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
Folks, on Monday, we reported the Department of Justice had terminated a landmark agreement to address long-standing sewage issues in Lowndes County, Alabama. This rural, majority black community has faced problems for decades with raw sewage in backyards in their homes. Catherine Coleman Flowers, the CEO of the Center for Rural Enterprise and Environmental Justice, joins us right now. Glad to have you here. So look, this is very simple. These are black people. These are black people impacted. This had been going on for decades. This was an infrastructure issue. And Trump decides to, oh, what the hell? Get rid of the settlement and calls it an illegal DEI settlement. What the hell?
I'm still trying to understand that one myself.
So for folk who don't understand, explain the settlement.
Well, the settlement occurred because for years, I've been doing this work since 2002, because initially the Alabama Department of Public Health were arresting people who could not afford on-site sanitation. And that's how I got involved in doing this work. And as a result, we ended up working with Earth Justice, and we filed a complaint against the Alabama Department of Public Health alleging a civil rights violation. This is the first time that Title VI was used to look at environmental justice and to try to obtain justice. And as a result, the health department entered into an agreement with the Department of Justice and Health and Human Services, where they would work to try to remedy the wastewater problem in Lowndes County by helping to put in place septic systems. And some of that was funded by the government, because the other question is, that we still don't know the answer, is how much of the money that's been allocated has been spent, and how much of it will go to actually putting in place septic systems for families, or are they taking that away too and calling it DEI?
And again, for the people who don't understand the impact here, we're talking, so describe the problem. This raw sewage in the yards, front yards, backyards, in the house, how dire was this?
I've seen it front yards, backyards, under homes, going out into the woods. I've seen it everywhere you can potentially see it. We also have seen where there are balls where children were playing around it. We've seen basketball courts nearby, and one basketball obviously ended up in the sewage and they didn't get it. So we've seen all kinds of ways in which people have tried to get this away from their homes. And this has been going on far too long. And what is significant about Lowndes County is that it's located between Selma and Montgomery, and at one point was called Bloody Lowndes, and it's very, very significant to our voting rights history as well.
And again, for people who don't understand, this was called racism when it came to infrastructure.
Yes, it is. We call it sanitation inequality, where the type of infrastructure investments that should have been made in these communities, really in rural communities across the United States, have not been made. But certainly Lowndes County, because it's hard to not see it, because so many people travel between Selma and Montgomery, and it's just right outside of Montgomery, which is the capital city, and it should have been rectified many years ago. My concern now is whether or not, hopefully they will not go back to the policy of arresting people who cannot afford on-site sanitation.
And again, I want to reiterate, you are there where the state capital is.
It's right outside the state capital. Actually, there are people living with raw sewage in Montgomery. I mean, so it's a problem in all 67 counties. I have to give credit for the people in Lowndes County who uplifted their stories and put it out there, because they were so marginalized. They had nothing else to lose. But it is not only helping them, but helping people around the state and certainly around the country who are living in the same situation. The sad part is that since we've been doing this work, and I've been doing it for over 20 years, that I've gone to places around the country and people have said this is a problem that they've had as well. So hopefully, I'm challenging the administration to go and see it for themselves, because a lot of their constituents got the same problem. But the issue is people don't want to deal with it, and I'm very concerned about the health consequences of not addressing this environmental issue.
I mean, it's just shameful and despicable, and that's what it is. Mustafa?
Well, Catherine, it's good to see you. If I give you a quick shout out, I just want to make sure everybody goes and gets your book, Waste, which is an anthology of the types of things that are going on in communities across the country. Catherine, can you talk a little bit about the public health impacts? Because a lot of folks don't understand about the hookworm and the hepatitis A and the parasites and everything that people are dealing with.
Well, actually, when When I first started doing this work, I wasn't getting a lot of support. And what helped us was that we partnered with Dr. Peter Hotez at Baylor's National School of Tropical Medicine and worked with the local community who actually gave us samples of their fecal samples. We got fecal samples, water samples, blood samples, and also soil samples. And they were taken to the lab and they used PCR technology in they used this PCR technology to look at the samples, and they found hookworm, they found strongyloides, they found other tropical parasites that you generally see in third world nations that don't have sanitation treatment. And when that story was broken in 2017, it made worldwide news because people were surprised to see that this was in the United States. In addition to that, the UN Special Rapporteur on Extreme Poverty came to Lowndes County. He said, Catherine, I've seen this in undeveloped nations. I never expected to see this in the United States. And this exists right outside of a capital city. And it doesn't make any sense for it to exist. And I think we have to find ways to remedy it. And the health consequences are so extreme that during the pandemic, Lowndes County, who has a small population, actually had the highest COVID death, highest per capita COVID death rate in the state of Alabama.
Joe?
Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. I am wondering if, and you kind of alluded to it a bit, with the idea that there are plenty of white people that are just as poorly off as it pertains to these issues and in general in Alabama, that there would seem to be some potential for commonality there. Is there any potential at all for collaboration with all affected communities, rural and otherwise, to get on the same page and perhaps develop more strength in terms of getting progress on this issue and pressing forward?
Well, the irony in it, and Mustafa alluded to my book, Waste, and I write about it. When I first started doing this work, one of the persons who was an ally was Jeff Sessions, because he was from rural Wilcox County that had the same problem. We have been contacted by people from most counties around Alabama, even people that are having the same issue. The difference is they're not being arrested. People in Lowndes County were arrested for having this problem. In addition to that, this is a problem throughout the United States of America. It's in California. It's definitely in Texas, in the area called the Colonias, where there are a lot of rural Latinos are living. They are living with raw sewage on the ground too. It's throughout the United States, and we're hearing from people from throughout the United States that are actually applauding the people in Lowndes County for looking at this problem, and they want solutions too, not only in Lowndes County, but around the United States in these rural communities that have been ignored for years.
Great, thank you.
Larry?
Yeah, thank you for all your important work. And you mentioned Sessions, and it made me think of two policymakers in Alabama, Britt and Tuberville. And I'm wondering, have you heard anything from their offices about, this decision by the White House and the impact it will have on their constituents?
No, I have not.
Well, this is what they do, though. Again, they don't care, and and I posted this tweet moments ago, and I'm just gonna go ahead and read their names again, and let me go ahead and say it. Joseph Pignon, Black MAGA, where are you? The Hodge twins, where you at? David Harris Jr., them young black guys, the Cartier family. Y'all always talking on YouTube. All y'all talking about this story. Sharice Lane, you a Florida A&M graduate. Why you been so silent? Michaela Montgomery, you keep running your mouth down there in Atlanta. Do you care about rural black folks in Alabama? Why you quiet? C.J. Pearson, you actually enrolled at the University of Alabama. Why are you so quiet? Lorenzo Sewell, you that black preacher in Detroit, kissing Trump's ass, giving that ridiculous prayer at the inauguration? Why are you so silent? Also, Reverend John Amanchukwu, Senior, you posted a video, post a photo on TikTok, on Twitter, how Trump has tapped you to help ban books. How about you ban raw sewage in the yards and the homes of black people? Oh, and your black members of Congress, Byron Donalds, Burgess Owens, Wesley Hunt, Senator Tim Scott, why are y'all so silent? All y'all black MAGA people, if y'all claim to love black people, why are you so quiet when Trump is screwing black folks? Question, what's next? What are y'all planning next? I mean, what do you do? What's next for you?
Well, we plan to continue to uplift these issues. And we want to expand. We're not going to only talk about what's happening in Lowndes County. We want to talk about what's happening in these other counties across the United States that have the same problem. In West Virginia, in Virginia, in Georgia, and Margaret Taylor Greene's district, where I spoke, and people there were telling me about the sewage issues they were having there as well. I think we need to lift these issues up, and we need to make sure that people understand that how in the world can we seem to be a prosperous nation when we allow these third world activities to exist and we do nothing to help it, but we can send people into outer space to do things that are not significant. However, there's a way in which we can address this problem. We just have not made it a priority. I'd like to see this administration fix it.
All right, Catherine Coleman Flowers, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, folks, going to a break. We come back. Donald Trump, now he's trying to extort Harvard and other Ivy League schools, and Harvard and MIT basically say, you can kiss our entire ass. I'll explain when we come back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, I'm sure you've heard that saying that the only thing guaranteed is death and taxes. The truth is that the wealthy get wealthier by understanding tax strategy. And that's exactly the conversation that we're going to have on the next Get Wealthy, where you're going to learn wealth hacks that help you turn your wages into wealth.
Taxes is one of the largest expenses you ever have. You really got to know how to manage that thing and get that under control so that you can build wealth.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
What's up, y'all? I'm Will Packer. Everybody, it's your man, Fred Hammond.
Hi, my name is Brescia Webb, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Ow. Well, I like a nice filter usually, but we can be unfiltered.
Well, Donald Trump is seeking retribution against more folks, this time Harvard University. They're claiming that they are targeting Harvard because they would not crack down on anti-Semitism on campus. That's bullshit. That's not what it's about. It's about controlling who gets hired as professors, what students get let in. And so he's using the threat of withholding federal funds in order to get them to back down. So as a result, he announced that they're going to withhold some $2 billion in federal aid. Well, Harvard was like, really? Really? That's what you think you're trying to do? And then now the fool is trying to say he's going to repeal their tax status. Let me know how that goes. Let me know how that goes. Now, remember, Columbia, they bowed to pressure. By agreeing to Trump's terms. Harvard said, nah, we ain't doing that. And they made it clear that no government, regardless of which party in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue. Well, MIT followed that up and said, yeah, we ain't buckling to you at all. See, this is the whole thing here that people got to understand, Larry. If you buckle to pressure, the thug is going to come back. This ain't no different if a mafioso comes to you and says, yo, you got to pay us a cut. They're going to up it and keep upping it. and keep upping and keep putting the squeeze on you. You respond to thugs like Donald Trump by saying, hell no, we're not bowing to you.
About, Harvard, but let's talk about another Ivy League college, Columbia University. And they basically caved in, Roland. And what happened after that? They were like, okay, that's good, but we need 1, 2, 3, and 4. So listen, if you're reading book, understand how authoritarianism works. One of the institutions they go after is higher education. Obviously, Columbia and Harvard University have large endowments from Ivy League institutions. But the stark difference in how the leaders for both those institutions have responded. Columbia has since gotten rid of their president, but Harvard's leadership and their president have stood steadfast. But let's be clear, Roland, let's not give them too many pats on the back. They have one of the largest endowments of a post-secondary institution, certainly maybe not in the United States, but in the world. So they can survive this. But we need to also see the leader from other institutions that, particularly those leaders that have something more to lose, including their jobs, step forward and be able to say, if they get these letters and say, no, we're not going to compromise. And then we also need a lot of those law firms to do the same thing. But, Harvard did the right thing, but it's easy for them to do the right thing when they have a large endowment and alumni base they do.
Well, but here's the thing. I don't care if they have a large endowment. I don't care if they have a large endowment and alumni base. Their response is the response that you need. It doesn't matter of them having an endowment. First of all, them having a large endowment, gives them that ability. But again, you have to have somebody who says, I'm going to punch back, to give the next person courage. If everybody keeps capitulating, the dominoes just keep falling.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 110%. And that's why I said, when we talk about the president of Columbia University, did the exact opposite, right, and gave in. So what Harvard University has done is important. And hopefully it's the first of many steps of institutions saying that we won't compromise in terms of how we enroll students, the kind of training we do, the programs and classes we teach. And trust me, I know this from the firsthand experience that if you cave in, then they will continue to come for you on other issues.
I mean, first of all, Joe, we see this with these law firms all buckling, all bowing their knee to Donald Trump. Major law firms scared to tell him, your executive order is illegal and we gonna take your ass to court.
Yeah, it's nuts. Big law is just they cave in like a caveman. It's really nuts. And so we appreciate those that actually do take stands. And even though I think it is true that Harvard's got a little bit more ability to do it, and we can talk some other time about how I wish they had supported Sister Gay the way that they should have. That being said, they're doing the right thing now. This is about control. In an irony, several ironies here, Republicans, free markets, no control, states' rights, things like that. Now he wants all the control. This is really about control. The other thing is that there's an irony with, among other things, falsely claiming, as you said, it is bullcrap on a sesame seed bun, that this is about anti-Semitism. But it wasn't about anti-Semitism when Donald Trump was saying that the folks that were saying Jews will not replace us in Charlottesville were fine people. So they're super, super pragmatic. And the fact of the matter is, if these intellectuals, and this is also his firing shot against intellectuals. This is all part of his exacting revenge. And if they really want to, these cats can get together and outthink Donald Trump. He's just going to try to muscle you. He doesn't have any strategy. He doesn't understand that he could actually probably destroy the rest of the world and people not get it if he held on to Social Security. But he doesn't want all that. There's greed. He wants all of it. And so therefore, he tells you what he's going to do before he does it. And it's important and incumbent for people to take those stands and to be strategic and to fight back and to stay at it. And so in the final analysis, I'm glad that Harvard's doing what they're doing, and hopefully it creates courage for other folks to do the same.
Mustafa?
You let somebody punk you, they're going to keep punking you. It's the lesson that all of us have learned when we were on the playground. And the bully kept messing with folks, but they didn't mess with the person who said, you know what, my mama said I could pick up this brick and bust you in your head if you don't leave me alone. I'm not saying that we have to do violence, but I am saying let people continue to bully you. You know, it's interesting when you look at the move that he tried to make here. He said nothing says fighting elitism like punishing schools for not pledging allegiance to you, and that's exactly what he wants. He wants your power. He wants you to give it up so that he can continue to just put more of it together and continue to just move down the road without any folks pushing back against him. So, you know, I appreciate what Harvard's doing. I believe, and I think building upon what Joe said, we just need more folks to come together, both different types of schools and the individuals who went there, to be able to create this front against, you know, these injustices that keep happening. But, you know, folks are going to have to make a decision if you're going to give up your power or if you're going to stand your ground.
All right, folks, let's talk about this story here that's pretty wild. 3 black men, in Maryland, they go to Arizona for a baby shower. Well, all of a sudden, there's this so-called mix-up where they rent a car and then they get accused of stealing the car. So check out this body cam video footage. It shows these men all calm, but also confused and caught off guard when they were surrounded by cops outside of a Cane's restaurant in Glendale, Arizona. We got audio?
Seat on the curb. Hey, man, have a seat on the curb. Have a seat on the curb. Have a seat on the curb. Have a seat on the curb, please, sir. Sir. Step out, have a seat on the curb. Have a seat on the curb, please. Take it with you.
Can I get out, sir?
Have a seat on the curb, yes, sir.
Slow?
Have a seat on the curb, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Can I get out slow?
Have a seat on the curb, yes, sir. Have a seat on the curb.
Can I get out slow?
Yeah, have a seat on the curb, please.
Yes, sir.
Please, sir.
No problem. Can I get out slow?
Have a seat.
Yes, sir.
5 King addressing 3. Can you step him up, please? Hey, I'll explain it all to you guys in just a moment, okay?
Fine, sir.
All right.
Well, out of town, I'm from Maryland.
What's that?
I'm from Maryland, out of town.
Oh, I'm from D.C.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to my kid, man. Well, no problem.
Okay. We'll explain it all and see you guys can get here. Hopefully you guys walk out of here, okay?
Yes, sir.
Anybody got any guns?
No.
Oh, okay.
Go home tomorrow. I have a flight 6 in the morning.
A flight?
Yeah.
Not a good time to fly.
You out of DCA too? Yeah, DCA.
Yeah. All right. Don't let them scare you. They're just coming for us just because I called.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
Okay. Whose car is this?
All right, so y'all, this is a 15-minute long video. Now, they were driving a blue Dodge Charger, okay? They rented the car through the app Turo, which is a car-sharing app like Airbnb for vehicles. Joining me now is Jeffrey Adu, Kwabena Asante, Daniel Mpofo, along with their attorney, Kevin Murray. So glad to have y'all here. So what happened? What caused y'all to get stopped? Did somebody call in? Did somebody see y'all make a wrong turn? How did y'all get stopped?
We don't know. We were inside the Cane's restaurant. When we came out, as you can see in the video, we were getting into the car.
Stop. I'm sorry. Y'all weren't driving?
No,
sir.
Y'all were in a restaurant?
Yes, sir.
The car was parked.
Car was parked?
Yes, sir.
So that means that they were just scanning license plates?
Unfortunately.
I couldn't tell you.
from what they said is that we tripped something in the system when we passed a traffic light or a camera, something like that, something to that effect. That's what they told us.
Okay, they claim y'all tripped a system, and then all of a sudden, how long were y'all inside the Cane's?
Probably 10, 15 minutes max. We placed the order to go, got the food and left.
So y'all walk out of Cane's, and all of a sudden y'all look up, and it's just cops everywhere?
Guns drawn immediately.
Me and Jeffrey actually got into the car. We didn't see the cop. The driver, Quab, was the last one getting in the car because he had to put his food at the top of the car. And then we heard the cop kind of like yelling at him to sit on the curb. We, of course, were clueless. We didn't know what was going on. So you can see the confusion initially. So it was one cop at first. He had his gun drawn as soon as he got out the car, as you can see in the body cam footage. After he told Quab to sit on the curb, he told me to get out of the car. I was in the back passenger seat. I had my drink in my hand, and I asked him if I could put it down. He said no, so I had to take it with me. And then he told Jeff to get out the car last. And then he called for backup. You could hear him coming in the background. You heard him say that the backup is coming. At this time, he didn't tell us what was going on. We still don't know why we were being pulled over.
So right now, y'all don't know. Y'all still don't know why you got pulled over.
No, as you heard him say, he said he was going to let us know in a minute. A minute turned into maybe 5 to 7 minutes. We didn't know for a while why we were being pulled over.
Yeah, Roland, these are all great questions you're asking, and that's what we're starting with to get to the bottom of the initial provocation of the officers and why these young men were pulled over, why they were handled the way they were handled.
Okay, so first of all, I don't see it in, I don't see it in the script. What it says, you're visiting Arizona. Where did this take place in Arizona?
Glendale, Arizona.
Okay, Glendale, Arizona. Okay, got it.
Correct.
All right, so how long were y'all detained?
Like 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, I would say 20 minutes.
Yeah, 15, 20 minutes for
sure. So after 15, 20 minutes, then what happened? They just let y'all go?
Yeah, once they detained us, read us our Miranda rights, put us in handcuffs, put us in the back of the police car, then they told us why they were treating us that way. Once they said that, my brother Quab, he had the reservations for Turo for the car, so he was able to show, he was still handcuffed, but he gave him his password, they unlocked his phone. That's when they saw the reservation and saw that we didn't steal the car, we legally rented it from Turo. And then they had a brief discussion with their other officers, and then they took the handcuffs off us eventually. So they confiscated the rental car, though.
So, well, hold up. This is where I'm still. So they reported. So they claim that someone else reported the car stolen?
Correct. They said it was a stolen car, and we were the ones in possession of the stolen car. They also said that we fit the description of suspects, which you still to this day haven't heard.
Wait a minute, hold on. So you rent so you rented the car through Turo.
Correct.
And so was that a person that was a person's car?
So yeah, there was another company that uses Turo to rent out their cars. And we rented it through that company, but of course, yeah, the umbrella company is Turo. So ultimately it was through Turo.
So did y'all then call the company and say, yo, why is that they claim this car was reported stolen? What did the company say?
Well, not at that moment because, of course, after a situation like that, you deal with the shock and the trauma. So our main goal after that situation was just to make it back to our Airbnb safe and sound because we've never been in a situation like that.
Now, when did this take place?
This was Saturday night, guys?
Yeah, Saturday night, February 1st.
February 1st.
Okay, so it's been 2 months. What did the company say when y'all said, hey, the cops claim this car was reported stolen?
Well, they said it was a mistake. They said they did report it stolen, but then they said that they recovered the car. That's what the company said.
The company claims they did report it stolen.
Correct.
But they
recovered the car. Yes.
They recovered the car.
Correct.
So did the company ever notify cops?
That's the $1,000,000 question, sir. We're not sure.
Okay.
And that's where I.
So Kevin, I gotta ask you, you attorney, who the hell y'all suing?
Everybody. I'll be very, very clear. We're investigating, and all the responsible parties are on the line until they're not, until they can prove that they didn't do something wrong. I'll be very, very clear. Whether it be the name of the company that used Turo for not clearing it, and we're even looking into the police department, making sure they went through the proper protocols, the proper policies and procedures that they were supposed to do, and the way they handled the situation.
Okay, I got to go back. They said y'all fit the description.
Correct.
So was there a description that 3 people stole a car?
When we asked what the description was, they never told us. We asked multiple times, and nobody gave a description. So,
Okay, so
even give them the benefit of the doubt. We know what that means.
No, but here's the whole deal, though. if a car was reported stolen by the company that used Turo, they had to file. They had to actually file a report. Have y'all seen the actual stolen car report they filed?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen
These
it.
gentlemen have, and we've just were hired recently, and we're investigating. We have an investigator in Arizona right now doing just that.
Because bottom line is, if they filed a report, this notion fit the description, which means that it had to have been described to them that 3 black men stole a blue Dodge.
Right.
Wow. Did y'all eventually make it to the shower?
Well, this was after the shower, actually.
Got it. And how soon did y'all get out of Arizona?
The next morning.
Next morning. Packed up that night and got out of there that next morning.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. All right, gents, keep us abreast what happens next.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
We appreciate you very much, Roland, for having us on your show. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Joe, this is the reality being black in America. Damn, you can't rent a vehicle and you fit the description. Come on, man.
It's a cold game, and of course, first of all, I'm glad the brothers are alive because you got guns drawn, you got all this stuff going on, and obviously these brothers would be a threat with a drink from Cane's in their hand, right? So I think it's going to be very interesting. Attorney, of course, is dealing with it the right way, that everybody's on until we see demonstrably that they're off. But I'll give you 10-1 that they won't find anything in writing with a description of 3 black men still in that vehicle. I'm almost certain of that. You'll probably be able to catch them in that lie. But this reminds you how quickly things can go awry. And I remember speaking on a panel once at a college, and the kids were mad when I told them, we were talking about how to deal with police stops, being stopped by police. And they want to argue the unfairness. We understand that, but it's kind of hard when they're the ones with the gun and society's benefit of the doubt. Because what I told them is, I would rather deal with you, meaning that you made it, as opposed to dealing with your parents because you didn't. These brothers deserve a lot of credit because they stayed calm. They didn't give these guys a reason to fly off the handle. And the most important thing, frankly, I think they've got a good case, but the most important thing is surviving the contact. And they were able to do that because they were compliant. They asked questions. Can we do that? Can I hold my drink? You tell me to hold my drink. Can I sit down with it? Those types of things. I think that every brother that's out there that wants to channel 400 years of slavery and all this other stuff into this police stop, which should not have happened, but you decide that the hill you may literally want to die on. I'm not saying that you're wrong in feeling that way. What I'm saying is survive the contact. And I think these brothers did a good job of that.
Larry?
Yeah, watching that video, Roland, is just traumatic for all of us. Either been in situations like that or know other people in our family and friends have been in situations like that. And I think the bottom line is these brothers survived this encounter. Let's remember, statistically, black folks are 2 to 3 times more likely to be killed by law enforcement based on encounters. It's not being arrested, encounters. So anytime we see situations like this, we can, as my colleague highlighted, it can go south really fast. And then you can have an issue where someone has been shot and accused of reaching or whatever else they, will come up with. But the language you heard used in terms of, they fit the description, we've heard that far too many times to count in our lives. So, but once again, I'm glad they're going to sue whoever is going to be responsible. This could end in a tragedy and really impacted the lives of multiple families. But this is another example of things that happen every day in America.
Mustafa?
These brothers had the trifecta, right? Driving while black, parking while black, eating while black. Luckily, we get to talk about Black joy because they got a chance to make it home. And Joe talked about survival, and that's what it's all about, so that we can live to fight another day. So it'll be interesting to see how the case plays out, and hopefully they get justice.
All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. When we come back, we'll talk with golfing pioneer Renee Powell, who is continuing the family tradition. Her father built with his own hands the first black golf course in America. We'll talk about that next. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. Of course, you want to give via Cash App. Use the Stripe QR code. It's right here. Point your phone to it. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. You want to send a check of money or to do so, please, by making it out to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Again, not Roland Martin, not Uncle Road, not Unfiltered, not Black Star Network. Make it out to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Makes it a lot easier dealing with our bank. Y'all, PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo's RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Be sure to get our swag, get our new shirts and our merchandise by going to RolandMartin.creator-spring.com. The QR code is there as well. Or go to the BlackStarNetwork.com. We'll be right back.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
We're going to examine how foreign policy impacts domestic policy and how domestic policy impacts foreign policy. We are all intertwined, and we're going to have Hannah Reid help us break down that topic.
We should not want our country to be the big bad wolf of the globe, because that puts us in a really vulnerable position safety-wise as well.
Only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
What's going on? This is Tobias Trevelyan.
Hey, I'm Amber Stevens-West.
Yo, what up, y'all? This is Jay Ellis, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Imagine being a pioneer golfer on the latest Professional Golf Association tour, but then again, you're like, that's in your DNA. When your dad built the first black golf course in the country. It's in Clearview, Ohio. And of course, Bill Powell built that course. The family continues that course. It's called Clearview Golf Club. It's in Canton, Ohio. First of all, it's near Canton, Ohio. And they have an annual fundraiser. There's a golf tournament taking place in June. Renee Powell joins us right now. She is the LPGA PGA head golf professional at Clearview. But not only that, she also, of course, made history herself on the LPGA tour, has traveled all across the country, and also a lot of different things are named after her as well. Renee, glad to have you here. How you doing?
Good to see you. I know yesterday you were wearing a great big cowboy hat.
Well, yeah.
You played in the tournament in South Carolina, so I'm wearing a hat tonight.
Well, yeah, I was at the Hootie and the Blowfishes Monday after the Masters golf tournament. My man Darius Rucker invited me. Had all my Houston Rockets gear on, so I had to represent H-Town, and so that's what I was doing there. And but today is Jackie Robinson Day, and so I always listen. I normally only wear Houston Astros stuff, but on this day I make an exception by wearing the Brooklyn Dodgers blue. So that's what I'm doing. So again, like I said, we had a great time. Yesterday, teeing off with the guys. They raised a lot of money for education efforts there in South Carolina, and so we had a good time. So yes, I had some fun, and am always hitting the golf course somewhere. This was us playing Sunday, teeing it up in the teeing it up in the practice round, and so we had a great time yesterday. So let's talk about what you're doing next month. I'm sorry, in June.
Yes.
In June.
Well, in June 8th and 9th. Well, a really great friend of ours who actually sponsored, was the major sponsor for our LPGA Pro-Am, was a good friend by the name of Franco Harris. And so we've been in the process of raising lots of funds for an automatic irrigation system. And so we're having an event on June the 8th, June the 9th. There's a dinner at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And on that Sunday and then Monday, the 9th, we're having an LPGA Pro-Am honoring Franco Harris because he was such a great part of all the things that we do here. And as I say, a really good friend. So, because of that, we're honoring him. And it's a fundraiser both evenings, both days.
For the folks who don't know the history of Clearview, just explain to folks the historic nature of this course.
Well, we're celebrating 79 years this year. We've never had an irrigation system, but 79 years because my dad, after World War II, back in 1946, came back from Scotland and England and found that he still wasn't welcome at area golf courses. And his thing was to create opportunities for all people, regardless of the color of your skin, regardless of your religion or whatever. They didn't want women on the golf course much. They didn't want kids and juniors on the golf course very much in those days. And they certainly didn't want people that looked like me and Black people on the golf course. So my dad's big thing was creating opportunities. And so that's how Clearview was built. The first 9 holes, he literally built by hand with a hand seater around his neck that he turned and literally walked back and forth every single fairway to see the fairways. And that's how Clearview came into existence.
So built by hand, and so that was the first 9 holes. What about the next 9? When did it become an 18-hole course?
And not until 1978. So when he began building the course in 46, opened it in 48, and then for the first 9 holes and second 9 holes, he was able to put in 1978, which was 30 years later.
And so you talk about this irrigation system for people who don't understand.
Right.
If you don't have water going to all parts of the course, it's going to be a problem keeping it in shape.
You're right. And the thing was that we have sort of antiquated irrigation where we had to drag hoses from green to green. And the greens are big. When Daddy built the course, his thing was he was only going to build 9 holes, and he made the greens very large based off of some of the greens that he saw in Scotland. And they were for different pin positions. So when we put the hoses out, we have to water the greens. It's 4 different pin positions, and it takes an hour each time. So every green takes 4 hours to water, but we can water 9 greens at a time. But now it was so dry last year and so hot. We said that there's something we needed to do. We needed to make a change somehow, some way, find a way to get an irrigation system in. And so that's what we're working on now. And they're working on it. And we're doing lots and lots of fundraisers and making contacts with lots of people.
So you and your brother, talk about how do y'all still keep this going? Who does it? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, because of the fact that it's pretty incredible. I mean, Clearview is now the National Register of Historic Places, one of a very handful of golf courses out of the roughly 16,000. My brother has been the golf course superintendent for years and years. I came back to be the head golf professional, so the two of us work together. He knows everything on the golf course as far as maintenance, and I help to put together different things. And as a golf professional, I do a lot of teaching. We do programs for military veterans. We do programs for kids, for seniors, and then events and fundraising events, because it's the Clearview Legacy Foundation for Education, Preservation, and Turfgrass Research, and we're a 501c3 tax-exempt charitable foundation.
So if folks want to support, obviously they get a tax write-off
Exactly.
by doing so. How long is the course?
The course is 6,700 yards. And from the backs, and the front 9 is a nice walkable 9. The back 9 is not as walkable. Well, it is. I mean, you can get good exercise really. So, and there's 4 sets of tees on all the tees.
I'm trying to think. I think I played there twice. I think the OJs had their golf tournament there. I played there. And let me say, listen, if there's anything people need to understand, golfers will tolerate decent tee boxes. They'll tolerate decent fairways. But if you got some jacked up greens, it will get added to. And I have no problem saying this here. The greens at Clearview were absolutely impeccable. And again, I played golf courses all around the world, and I was like, yo, brother be handling his business with those greens.
Yeah, he babysits those greens. So yeah, and you know what? I think that's the golf course and the greens helped me when I went out on tour, actually.
Yeah, because bottom line is you got those fast greens on tour. This is some video here of your father driving a golf cart. There was a story that was done on him. And again, a legendary figure. And I don't think people really understand the racism that he had to deal with, but also the racism that you had to deal with when you were on the LPGA tour.
Oh my gosh, you're right. So, I came along 20 years later after Daddy had built the golf course, playing on the tour. And I used to get threat letters in my life, and I'm like, I'm in my own country. All I'm doing is trying to hit this little golf ball. Back then, all the golf balls were white. Now we have yellow and pink and green. But trying to hit this little golf ball and not bothering anybody else. But, it was because I first went on tour back in the late 60s. And so there were a lot of things that were not very pleasant.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so lots going on. So tell us about this golf tournament next month. I'm sorry, in June.
Okay, so it's foursomes, plus there is a celebrity athlete with each group. I was talking to, since you're on baseball right now, I was talking to Reggie Jackson last night. And so Reggie is planning on coming to that because he and Franco Harris were very, very close friends. He's going to let me know, whether he can be there 1 or 2 days or both days. But also Cheyenne Woods, who played on the LPGA tour after me. Cheyenne is, as most people know, is the niece of Tiger. Dr. Clark Kellogg, who is a basketball person, and Jerome Bettis, who, even though he is, we're Cleveland Browns fans here, but of course Franco was a Steeler, and so was Jerome Bettis. So it's going to be a fun event. As I said, the first night, on Sunday night, we're having an event that's going to be at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and where we'll be able to honor Franco there, and also the next day at the golf course for the Pro-Am.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, if you go on our website, which is clearviewgolfclub.com, all the information is on there as to how one can sponsor, various sponsorships, and talks about the evening before and the day, the Pro-Am day.
Questions from our panel. Let's see. Do any of y'all play golf? Larry, Joe, or Mustafa?
I messed with it a little bit, but I started kind of late, so I just never had that
like I said, the question was, do any of y'all play golf? When somebody says, I kind of mess with it, that means you do not play golf. Go ahead, Joe.
But he's got golf clubs, obviously.
I got some beautiful golf clubs. They're shiny and sweet.
Which mean they collect dust in the garage.
Do you have all the wrappings off of them?
Actually, the wrappings are off. I will say that.
And it probably ain't a speck of dirt on those golf clubs.
See, Roland, now you're wrong. But in any event,
you know I'm right.
So I'd be interested in your thoughts, because what you're doing is so historic and it's multi-generational, starting with your father. How do you feel about the state of golf and the state of being having young people and young Black people involved in golf today? How do you feel about that? We just saw the Masters happen, right? They unveiled a mural that speaks to the greatness of black caddies, which often, including for Jack Nicklaus, which people often didn't realize or didn't want to realize and tried to act like it was something other than what it was. Tell me about your thoughts about how far we've come as you see it today.
Well, it's great to see more and more young people playing the game of golf. There are programs. The LPGA does an LPGA USDA Girls Golf Club program. The first tee was started, back in the 90s, and I was involved with helping to put together the curriculum and programming, and so it's changed a little bit. It was developed for purposes for those who did not have access, and it's changed a little bit. But where I think golf needs to be a little bit more is we need to have more Black people in upper management in our industry, which we don't have as much as I think we should and could. But seeing more young people get involved in the one sad thing is that the LPGA this year is celebrating 75 years. And over those 75 years, there have only been 8 Black females to play on the LPGA Tour. Well, that's not very many in 75 years.
It's amazing.
Larry's down there in Florida. He don't play a stitch of golf.
What?
Listen, I'm working on that this summer. So I'll get back to
here
you.
we go.
I'll get back to you on that.
I think Roland's going to hold you to that.
Precisely.
I know he is. That's why I'm gonna get it together before he asks me the next time. So, thank you for continuing your father's legacy. And my question kind of relates to my colleague got to about working with young people. We know that Howard University has a golf program. Steph Curry is supporting that program. What are some of the things you're doing in terms of work with young people in terms of high schools, particularly HBCUs, right? With opportunity to we talk about Howard University. What other kind of outreach programs are you doing as it relates to high schools and possibly colleges?
Well, actually, when I first left the tour, one of the things that I did do is I went around to many of our HBCU schools before anybody else has gotten involved or even thought about them, because my thing was to go to these schools to talk to the young people, telling them that once they leave the academia world and go out into the real world, golf is a sport that they needed to know how to play. And so I did that back in the 1980s. And so I'm always trying to encourage young people in our area to participate in the sport of golf, and because and especially young girls, because there are a lot of scholarships out there for young girls. I know that there is a tournament called the National Women's Golf Championship, Collegiate Golf Championship, that was held 2 weeks ago, and they actually played for the Renee Powell Cup. And there were 13 HBCUs women's golf teams that played in that. It was held down in Texas. A lady out of Atlanta puts that on. She's been doing it. This year was the 30th anniversary for it.
Mustafa, now he's rocking. He wears the Payne Stewart Kangos, but I ain't never seen him on a golf course. All right, Mustafa, go ahead.
I'm more of a Lee Elder and Calvin Pete type of person, but I hear what you're saying.
Fine, Calvin Pete.
What does that mean? Wait a minute. What does that mean, that you're more of a Lee Elder, Calvin Pete type of person?
That don't mean nothing.
Well, it means they were some of the first that I ever noticed playing the game, so they were the ones that inspired me to even start to watch golf.
But do you play?
Yes.
I wouldn't call what I do actually playing. I wouldn't call that actually playing. You have to have a triple-digit handicap with me, so I'm just not.
You and Joe in the same boat. Y'all mess with it.
Exactly.
I cannot believe I cannot believe that none of you are real golfers. None of you play. And here Roland plays every opportunity he can.
You damn Skippy.
I didn't say I didn't play. I said I'm not very good. So there's a difference right there.
You play at it.
Well, at least I'm accepting where I am in my journey.
Go on with your question.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say thank you for your journey and your father's journey. I was curious. We had a conversation earlier in the show with the Black farmers around owning land. And I was curious about Clearview and how your father was able to get that land, especially, at the time that he developed the course.
Yeah, well, my dad actually grew up in a little town just 10 miles down the road, which their family was the only Black family in the entire town. He discovered golf at the age of 9. And he started the very first golf team at his high school. And also another fact was he and his brother started the very first golf team at Wilberforce University. And the first match ever played in the United States between a historically Black college and a white college was Wilberforce versus Ohio Northern. They played 2 matches. That was in 1937, and Wilberforce won both matches. So after college and after World War II, my dad came back, and he found out he still wasn't welcome at area golf courses, except the one that he really grew up on. And he actually taught 2 Black doctors how to play the game of golf. My mom was from Canton, Ohio, from the city. My dad was from out in more of a rural area in Minerva. And he kept driving by looking for land. And he finally saw that there was 78 acres of an old dairy farm that was for sale. And he actually stopped and was able to, what the doctors did, they each put in a third of their money to purchase the first 78 acres of land, which the 9 holes went on. My dad didn't have his money, so he borrowed his money from my uncle, who mortgaged his house in California, to give my dad his share of the money.
Wow.
Well, that's how that is done, and so it's a lot great going on. Again, if folk want to play Clearview, the closest major city is Canton?
Canton, and it's the home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
So how far is Canton from the golf course?
7 miles, actually.
Oh, see, that's not far.
Yeah, we're in East Canton.
Got
We're
it.
just, yeah.
Got it.
We're just outside of
So let everybody again know, first of all, date of the tournament, where they can actually donate if they can't play, all the particulars.
Right. Okay. So the tournament dates are June 8th is the dinner at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and the event itself, the Pro-Am, with the LPGA Tour players and some other celebrity athletes, male athletes, and that is on June the 9th on a Monday. You can find all the information on our website, which is clearviewgolfclub.com. On the front page, it's going to have all the information and how one can participate and all the various sponsorship opportunities.
All right, then. And so, as I told you, I know folks are wondering, as I, of course, I'm playing Warwick Dunn's golf tournament the exact same day. Otherwise, I definitely will be there. So be sure you got to give me the dates for next year so we can lock that in.
Okay, we'll do.
All
and
right.
next year, we'll be celebrating the 80th anniversary of Clearview.
Okay, all right.
Changing the name to the Franco Harris LPGA Pro-Am next year.
All right, that'll be great. And again, for Mustafa, Larry, and Joe, if y'all keep messing around, if y'all put some work in, y'all might be as smooth as this. This was a couple of years ago at the George Lopez golf tournament. This is what happens if y'all put the work in. Your golf swing might be as smooth as this, but just saying. Just saying.
The problem with that, though, Roland, is that if I'm out there with you, I'm distracted because I'm looking at that hat.
Well, that means you can't play.
I can't believe your swing, how smooth your swing is with that hat on.
Well, see, that's what happens. That's what happens when you have proper rotation around your spine. The hat don't matter. See, of course, Joe probably would hit himself in the head if he had one of those foam, hats. And this, of course, at White Witch in Jamaica. So, Joe, I'll help you with this one. So, if you look at, I'm telling y'all need to get on that range and y'all need to work at it, because that's just silky smooth. All right, we got to bounce. Renee, I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
Okay, thank you, Roland. Thanks so much.
All right, folks, we come back. I got a few words to say on today, Jackie Robinson Day, in Major League Baseball. Jackie Robinson and DEI. We'll be right back.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
We're going to examine how foreign policy impacts domestic policy and how domestic policy impacts foreign policy. We are all intertwined, and we're going to have Hannah Reid help us break down that topic.
We should not want our country to be the big bad wolf of the globe, because that puts us in a really vulnerable position safety-wise as well.
Only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
How you doing? My name is Mark Curry, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Deep into it, like pasteurized milk without the 2%. We getting deep. You want to turn that shit off? We doing an interview, motherfucker.
All right, folks, today is April 15th. Normally we know today as being tax day, but this is also known as Jackie Robinson Day. This was the day that Jackie Robinson debuted in white Major League Baseball. Now, let me explain. I know some of y'all are sitting there saying, why did he frame it that way? Well, because the Negro Leagues was also the major leagues. In fact, the real talent in baseball was in the Negro Leagues. See, the reason it was called the major leagues is because white people owned it. White people financed the better stadiums, which had better lighting, they had better uniforms, they had better travel. But the reality is, in the Negro Leagues, you had significant talent. People like Satchel Paige and so many others, Josh Gibson, who played in the Negro Leagues. And so on this day, all across Major League Baseball, every player, games today, will be wearing the number 42. Now, again, with Jackie Robinson, as you see, I got 42. There's no name on the back of, and so if y'all see somebody wearing a Jackie Robinson jersey with Robinson on the back, that's not how Jackie wore his uniform with the Brooklyn Dodgers, okay? So what's the correlation, and why was I kept saying about the issue of DEI? Well, Jackie Robinson going into white Major League Baseball was the ultimate DEI. DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. The reality is the racists in white Major League Baseball purposely kept black baseball players out because they were racist. They did not want black ball players in white Major League Baseball. So when Branch Rickey chooses to break the color barrier, that was diversity, equity, and inclusion. See, this is really what DEI is all about. When you have racists create barriers that prevent entry, then you have to create programs that solidify or create a pathway for, quote, non-traditional people, meaning non-white people, to be able to participate. And so that's all that was. Now, the problem is that after Jackie Robinson breaks the color barrier in white Major League Baseball, those same racists said we have to limit the number of black ball players on teams. Now, there was no written rule that you couldn't have more than 3 black ball players, but that was a rule. In Bill Russell's book, he talks about the exact same thing, how they limited the number of black basketball players. Exact same thing. And so when we talk about Jim Crow, when we talk about the racism in this country, when we talk about DEI and all the attacks on DEI, really what we are looking at and speaking to is when you had white racists excluding black people from participating in a sport. Let me say it again. This was white racists denying economic opportunities for black people from being able to showcase their talent. Let me unpack that further. This was white racists not believing in merit, but saying we believe in white privilege, where we provide opportunities just for white men to play baseball and no one else. Let me unpack that further for somebody who still is not quite understanding what I'm talking about. Here we had white men deciding that they were so scared of fragile white men losing their jobs that they created an artificial situation to where these fragile white men were able to thrive and play in white Major League Baseball because they were afraid of these black baseball players bringing their talent and then talent deciding who stays. Let me unpack that further for the folk who really are not understanding what I'm talking about. If white folk really felt that merit was so valuable, if white people really believed in meritocracy, then there would be no need for DEI programs. There would be no need for affirmative action programs. There would be no need for you to have to create special recruitment inducements and things along those lines, because you would be doing the right thing. In fact, they're not doing the right thing, they're doing the white thing. That's why it even exists. The reason you have these Office of Civil Rights and the reason you have these DEI officers and the reason you have all of these measurements that lay out why you have to have DEI, because white folk refuse to do the right thing and they keep doing the white thing. They keep hiring their friends. They only go to recruit at places that they know. They deny opportunities from folks who don't come from places they're not familiar with. So when Barry Williams was on our show, she was talking about when she was in Silicon Valley, how they would be in meetings and the person who was deciding who gets the internship or who gets the interview will go, oh, I'm unfamiliar with that school, so therefore we're going to put them aside. And Barry would say, wait a minute, I'm sorry. What are you doing right here? Because you don't know the type of school that person's come from. You know nothing about the brilliance of that student. You are making an arbitrary decision to remove this black applicant from the pool of talent because you are unfamiliar with the school. 2 years ago, a study was done where they took the names of black-sounding names and white-sounding names, exact same resume, and then they sent it out. And the white-sounding name had a 50% chance of getting a call back for the interview than the black-sounding name. We had a white-sounding name and a black-sounding name, but the exact same resume. See, this is why I don't want to hear nothing from any of these white racists when they talk about they are against DEI, because they say nothing about that. They have no problem defending white privilege. White privilege is not a phrase that speaks to white people with economic resources. White privilege means that by virtue of you being white, you get the privilege of getting a call back. You get the privilege of being hired. You get the privilege of being able to walk in stores without being accosted. You get the privilege of being able to sell your home at a high value. You get the privilege of having books of white people and photos of white people and art of white people on your homes. Yet when you're black, you get to remove all elements of blackness in your home, because mostly a white appraiser is going to praise your home at a much lower value. This is why you have DEI. You have DEI to create special contracting programs, because white businesses freeze out black businesses from the process. Oh, and the same companies then create these artificial barriers where we're going to concoct a special set of rules that only white businesses can actually qualify for the contracts. And so we're going to say insurance has to be higher, bonding has to be higher, all these requirements. This is why DEI was created. DEI is nothing but the grandchild of diversity officer. The diversity officer is nothing but the grandchild of the community affairs officer. The community affairs officer was created in the aftermath of affirmative action. Of course, it took place under Arthur Fletcher and President Richard Nixon, and that simply followed President Lyndon Baines Johnson going to Howard University talking about the need to have affirmative action required. We are where we are today because of DEI, because of white exclusion from the process. White folks in this country created a system where they excluded black people from all parts of American society. Black people could not tap grants. Black people could not buy houses. Black people could not buy car loans. Black people could not get corporate jobs. Why do black people represent 20% of all federal jobs? It's because black people could not work in corporate America. 20% in federal government, 10% in corporate America. Why do you have so few black people in significant positions? It has nothing to do with smart, has nothing to do with talent. It has to do with whether or not we are provided an access to the same platform. If y'all want to understand how whiteness works, I just need y'all to understand what happened just the other day when I saw a story in the New York Times. This is a perfect example of how white privilege works and how whiteness works. So I was sitting here reading the New York Times, and the New York Times had a story on their site called "Chuck Todd Wants You to Meet the Pods." And it says, after leaving NBC News in January, the former Meet the Press moderator is starting a new chapter as a media entrepreneur. And I saw that and I was kind of like, wow, that's interesting. So allow me to read further. And so I then began to scroll down, and in the article by Benjamin Mullen, who is the media reporter for the New York Times, he begins to describe the life of Chuck Todd. And he is going down, and he said, after leaving the corporate home of Meet the Press in January, Mr. Todd is embarking on a career as a media entrepreneur. He has a podcast and a YouTube channel and plans to hire other hosts for a podcast and video network focused on politics and culture. He also said he was working with an advisor from a major financial firm to build or acquire a company focused on community news. They begin to talk about how he's adjusting and all of these different things and talking about what he's working on. And Mr. Todd's business plan calls for a constellation of local sites owned by their communities, blah, 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 blah. Mr. Todd and the bank he is working with are eyeing a purchase that could cost up to $2 billion. He declined to say whether he had lined up any backers or specify the company they were looking at, but he ruled out major newspaper publishers. Now, I saw that article and I said, my God, it's amazing the things that Chuck Todd is doing. So then I went over to YouTube, and then when I went over to YouTube, I said, well, man, Chuck Todd has got to be killing this thing on YouTube, because they are describing Chuck Todd as being a media force, a media entrepreneur. And I just sat there and said, man, he must be killing that thing. Well, the day I saw the article, I said, wow, it said to me that Chuck Todd had 2,100 subscribers on his YouTube channel. No, I'm sorry. I didn't say Chuck Todd had 2.1 million. I didn't say Chuck Todd had 210,000. I didn't say Chuck Todd had 21,000. They said Chuck Todd had 2,100 YouTube subscribers. Well, today, this is just 3 days later, he now has 8,200, 8.28. And I sat there and I said, my God, he's tripled his numbers, quadrupled his numbers in 3 days. He's gone from 2,100 to 8,200. Now, some of y'all may say, Roland, I don't understand. Why are you sitting here bringing this up? Because in 6.5 years, the New York Times has, matter of fact, I take that back. The New York Times did call us when Ben Smith was the media reporter, when they were working on the Carlos Watson article, but they never called us to do a story on how I built Roland Martin Unfiltered from the ground up to now have almost 2 million subscribers, how we've been profitable for 5 years, and how I built a network called the Black Star Network that has, let me go back to that Chuck Todd story, because the Chuck Todd story said that Chuck Todd is working, they said Chuck Todd was working on launching that's here right here. He said Chuck Todd plans to hire other hosts for a podcast and video network focused on politics and culture. Oh, do you mean like having Reverend Dr. Jackie Hood Martin have her show fulfilled? Do you mean like having Greg Carr having his show, The Black Table? Do you mean Bria Baker and Jameer Burley having their show, The Other Side of Change? Do you mean when we had Stephanie Humphrey's show called The Pivot, when we had other shows that on the network? Do you mean that the business show we are launching right now? Do you mean that the health show we are launching right now? Oh, I'm sorry, the New York Times, Benjamin Mullen, has never called me about this. Now, if you're a media reporter, you can't say you didn't know, because Steve Bottiglio with the LA Times, the media reporter, did a big story on us last year, laying out what we are doing. I see some of y'all might be saying, Roland, I still don't understand the point. The point I'm making is it is white privilege when you are a white media voice and you get a large story in the New York Times when you have launched a podcast that has only generated 2,100 subscribers, and they land out a story where you are talking about acquiring a company upwards of $2 billion when there's nothing in your history that shows you've ever owned or run anything. We call that white privilege. And see, this is precisely what we're talking about here. See, on this day, Jackie Robinson, in his book, I Never Had It Made, always talked about how do you create opportunities? How do you create space? Jackie Robinson said in his own words that if there is one black person who is not free to move and operate the way they should, then I have not made it. Jackie Robinson didn't say, oh, I'm one of the special ones. I'm one of the ones they chose to be able to have riches and being able to go places and do things. He said, no, if any one of my brothers and sisters is not able to be able to work and live where they want, I never had it made. So don't say I made it. Same Jackie Robinson, who white America loves to praise as a patriot, is the same Jackie Robinson who said, I'm not standing for the Star-Spangled Banner and I'm not saluting the Pledge of Allegiance, because you can't stand here and tell me that I need to stand for the national anthem and salute the Pledge of Allegiance when you are virally racist against me and my people. Same Jackie Robinson. The same Jackie Robinson, days before he died, y'all can pull it up on YouTube, when he was honored at a baseball game. He died a few days later, Jackie Robinson, who stood there and said, I can't wait for the day when I look down that line and see a black coach at third base. Why is that? Because, see, you are a black coach, you can go on and coach over there on first base, but see, that third base coach is the one who's next to get hired as a manager. Even in his final days, Jackie Robinson died, I think, at the age of 56. He had diabetes for quite some time, died of a heart attack, the stress and all that in his life. Jackie Robinson was still forcing Major League Baseball to change. Here I was at the golf tournament. The golf tournament at Hoot and the Blowfish, and I was talking to Tony Womack, former Major League Baseball player. When Tony Womack played, 40% of Major League Baseball was black. Today, is 6%. Okay, I'm going to repeat that for the folk who didn't hear me. When Tony Womack said he came into the game of baseball, it was 40% black. Today is 6%. Now you might say, well, I don't know what the big deal is. Well, the big deal is baseball has the strongest union, has the best contracts. You got baseball players who are signing $500 million contracts. So that means that when black men are being frozen out of Major League Baseball, when you're not creating opportunities for black men in Major League Baseball, you're freezing them out of the riches of Major League Baseball. And then if they don't get in as baseball players, you damn sure not going to get in as scouts and managers and general managers. Right now in this country, we are seeing white supremacists, white nationalists want to destroy programs that create diversity, equity, and inclusion, that create an opportunity for people to be able to access the so-called American dream, because people who are still in charge, not all people, but enough folk are in charge and controlling who has access to the jobs, to the housing, to the contracts, to the riches. And the reality is, on the face, yes, things have changed since Jackie Robinson played his first inning on April 15th, 1947. The reality is, on April 15th, 2025, we are still dealing with the grandchildren of Jim Crow. And reality is, those racist views have now been refined, and they now still are withholding opportunities, because for them, they still want an America that is about whiteness, and the only color they want to see is the color in the uniform. Comments from our panelists. Mustafa, you first.
I mean, everything you said, and Jackie Robinson was an ambassador for change. She was an ambassador for equity and justice. All the things that he went through and did it with grace and dignity, and helped to open up doors. So, you know, wish him nothing but blessings as he looks down on us.
Larry?
And Roland, I'm a baseball fan and watched baseball for years, big Philadelphia Phillies fan. And I've seen that in real time in the last several years in terms of the decrease of, African-American baseball players. Obviously, CC Sabathia was, a few weeks ago, found out he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. But we don't have enough black players in baseball, as you highlighted. And the other thing is they talk about the pipeline, but also Major League Baseball has to do a better job of marketing itself. But as we recognize, Jackie Robinson's historic role in, baseball, we also remember all the black players who never got an opportunity. We could go on about the list of those individuals who played during his time, and for Jackie Robinson, that were phenomenal players who never got the opportunity. Lastly, I want to say, I've said this on your show before, these anti-DE policies are really pro-Jim Crow policies. So it's really important that we think about that.
Joe?
These policies are about the return of an advantage. It's not about making us colorblind and fair. It's about us going back to where we were. For so long, and I've said this before, white folks have had the force of tradition, the force of privilege, the force of relationships. Affirmative action and its ilk were about the force of law. And it's so important because we've lost some progress in baseball to go down so far from a percentage standpoint, particularly as it pertains to African Americans. And often the way to get to the front office is ground level, starting as a player. Meanwhile, back at the ranch in football, for instance, you're seeing you're seeing coaches that were never players, who are analytics guys, getting coaching jobs in their 20s. And so we really have to, we honor Jackie Robinson and the tradition of forcing change and doing it in a way where people were receptive and were moved. He had to have a certain disposition to be successful in Major League Baseball when there was no one else there, and he was able to do it. And we've got to continue to be determined to move it forward, and that's by making sure the narrative is what it needs to be about what is really going on here, what they really mean when they say DEI, what it's really about. It's about them giving up an advantage, and they're willing to change the rules in order to keep that advantage. And they want to do that at all costs.
Indeed and indeed. So, y'all, we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep prodding. And in the name of Jackie Robinson, in the name of Roy Campanella, the name of Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson, and all of those brothers who were star athletes in the Negro Leagues. And my last point is this here. I need black people to also remember this. In our desire to show white folks that we could compete on the field with them, it also led us to destroy the Negro Leagues. Jackie Robinson may have gone into the Negro Leagues, but guess what? You didn't see a black owner go into white Major League Baseball. And so that's the other thing we cannot forget. We cannot forget the ownership piece. Gents, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Now I need all three of y'all to take y'all ass to the driving range, get y'all golf game together. All right. Thank you so very much. Folks, that is it for us. If you want to support the work that we do, join our Bring the Funk fan club. That is, you want to give me a cash app, do so right here. Use the Stripe QR code. And if you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. Also, of course, we want you to see your check and money order. You can do so. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Please, make your checks and money orders payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Not Roro, not Roland Martin, not Black Star Network, not Unfiltered. Has to be Roland Martin Unfiltered. Trust me, it makes it a lot easier for the banks. Also, a lot of you who sent checks about 8 weeks ago. It was about 512 checks we got. My goodness, the Postal Service is absolutely so. They're literally holding up the batch of checks that we sent to our bank. We sent it registered mail. We sent it on March 31st. They've been sitting in the Chicago processing center since April 3rd. So trust me, we're trying to get them out, but that's what the holdup is for those checks. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Also, of course, you want to get our swag. Get our swag. If you want to get our shirts, mugs, all that good stuff, well, you can do so. You can do so by going to rolandmartin.creator-spring.com. We got our new shirts. MAGA chose between woke or broke. They chose broke. They sure did. And of course, get the shirt. Don't blame me. I voted for the black woman. So order it there as well. And the QR code is there as well. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, The Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available at bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version I read on Audible. Download the app Fanbase. If you want to support via investment, go to startengine.com/fanbase. That's it, folks. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered, right here on the Black Star Network. Holla! Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home. You dig?